JSJ, stop. Oh, and of course Joe's there. Yes, it is of course the Lakers fast break. Lakers weekend is here. Joe, this is called a podcast. You did it earlier on this channel as well. So yes, it is of course Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for joining us right here. My name is not Joe Sorrell. It's Gerald Glassford. Truly appreciate you joining us. Make sure you like and subscribe. Hit that 5-star review if you're listening to us. We're going to go ahead and talk about some things on the NBA schedule. I know that Joe mentioned it with the guys from the Lakerholics crew, and I appreciate him sitting in for Jamie Sweet on that. Yes, I actually said, you cannot say I never said anything nice about Joe Sorrell. I won't say much nice about Joe Sorrell, but I did say right now that it was very nice of him to sit in with the Lakerholics with Mike and Laker Tom earlier today. So one of the things they mentioned was the schedule. And so with that, yes, this is the Handsome Men's Club indeed. Absolutely. Kurt, are you concerned about the future of Mass Effect now that it is in the hands of these Saudi investment firms, the venture capitalists, as far as Electronic Arts? Let me know your thoughts, my friend, because Kurt Affair, it's kind of concerning. That's how for gamers out there, as far as Electronic Arts, something I got to go ahead and delve into a little bit more. But with that said, it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. We're talking about the schedule and some of the nuances about the NBA schedule, Legends teams, and also, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers. I know that, again, I said earlier that Joe and the guys, the Lakerholics, were talking about it. Laker Tom is already talking about a 10-0 start for the Los Angeles Lakers in his usual optimistic self. So let's see if that's the case. We take a deeper look into some of the nuances, the highs, the lows, the ups and downs of the NBA schedule. Yeah, exactly, Kurt. Yes, and it's only a single player experience in Mass Effect. So yes, why not just go ahead and put it on another paywall? The original paywall, buying it at a certain price, but put it behind another paywall. Indeed, it's like DLC. The actual game will be DLC once you pay an extra fee for that. So just to experience Mass Effect, absolutely, just fantastic. Can't wait for it. Cannot wait for it, indeed. But here today to go ahead and discuss. Yeah, I know but see, the thing is, he's been predicting a three-peat now for years, Joe. There's no one more optimistic than I know than Laker Tom. But good man is here today with us. It is, of course, the guy behind I Got Next Sports Media. It is, of course, Legend. Legend, great to have you here. You wanted to go ahead and talk the NBA schedule. I know last year I mimicked Steve Martin from The Jerk, saying the phone book is here, the NBA schedule is here. I know I did that last year, so I won't do that joke this year. But great to have you here, my friend, talking the NBA schedule, indeed.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to be here, man. Happy to talk some good NBA, and I could definitely say three-peat ain't gonna happen with this CBA, so maybe two-peat, three-peat, probably not with this CBA.
Kurt Affair says, has Laker Tom ever been wrong? Today? Yes. Every day? Yes. Although he is still, if you checked out his latest blog, saying that if the Lakers make this trade that he wants them to trade and bring in Herb Jones and Carlo Matkovic, because he couldn't say his name right, but he's been looking at him. Third string power forward in New Orleans. So if the third string New Orleans power forward comes to the comes to the Los Angeles Lakers from New Orleans, Legend, he said the Lakers team will be perfect. He said it several times. Perfect lineup, perfect rotation, perfect team, perfect. So I expect if they make that trade for Herb Jones and Carlo Matkovic, then Lakers are going to go 98-0, and I'm sorry, Legend. Nothing Golden State or Atlanta or anybody else can do about it.
Well, let me go and put my money in on Cashy right now. Let me go and bet some money.
There you go. Yeah. Who cares about the 45 and a half that what is it? DraftKings has the Lakers on? Yeah, who cares about that? Lakers going to win 98 this year, 82-0, and go 16-0 in the playoffs. Absolutely. Yeah. Again, JSJ, that's if you watch the Lakerholics, that's who he says is the target, and that's who he says is the power forward that can change the dynamic for the Los Angeles.
Hey,
So
you might be right. JSJ might be right. They might want a first round pick.
yeah, exactly. Well, the New Orleans Pelicans. Let me just say this: they just mangled and bungled their one of their few offseason signings, re-signing DeAndre Jordan. They only meant to sign him for 1 year, but because they screwed it up as far as how they managed it in the cap, they had to sign him and give him a fixed 2 year, fully guaranteed contract. They were
Yikes.
supposed to do a 1+1 with a player option or a team option. So yeah, they end up screwing that up. So yeah, New Orleans Pelicans, yeah, great. Kurt Affair says, I wonder if Laker Tom will talk to Bob Iger's. See, that's the thing. I didn't hear too much. I actually watched that, and compliments again to Joe. I didn't hear too much from Laker Tom about his conversations with Mark Walter. Maybe the feds are attempting to turn over his phone. So there you go, to the feds. Yeah, absolutely indeed. But let's get into the schedule, everyone. The Lakers again, Spurs coming up here. First game is on October 21st against Legends Golden State Warriors. It's going to be at the Crypto.com arena to start off the season. It is not on opening night, which I think a lot of people are irritated with. It's the first time, I think, since, gosh, I want to say the 2018-2019 season.
I
I
think so.
it's either that year or year before, but it's been a little while since the Lakers have not played on opening night. Again, I've talked before about this. I think you heard me about this before on opening night. Why have an opening day? Because the fact that it's, I guess, the first game is at
3 o'clock
12.
my time.
Yeah, it's at lunchtime for the West Coast, which absolutely makes no sense. But be that as it may, the season starts off with the Golden State Warriors. You talked about the Golden State Warriors and their schedule. They have the Lakers on the 21st, and they also have the Lakers 9 days later, I believe, in the first NBA Cup game. Your thoughts, my friend, on the Lakers and the Warriors getting it on very soon?
Well, I'm gonna go and dap up Lakers Nation and all you got good guys out there and be like, good win, cause we finna catch this L real quick. Start the season off already. We're gonna go catch this loss because our team is just it ain't built right. It ain't did no moves at all this summer. So that lets you know how bad this season should be. It should be another get lucky and make the play in and go get bounced by OKC or Spurs in round one and call it a season. That's pretty much how this is going to start. So we're gonna go and start this season 0-1 because I don't see them beating the Lakers. I just don't. The only way we might sit here and take a win against the Lakers is because they got a bunch of new players and the chemistry just ain't there right now. That's the only reason I would see we get this win. Otherwise, you guys should win this game. You should. Unless Steph just go bunkers and just drop 40 or 50 something. Yeah.
Bloodhound says, I don't want CP3 to replace Palinka. You know what? I'll take anything at this point. I'll take you to replace Palinka at this point.
You know what? I'm about to put a job application in for it. I got you
You
guys.
should. Heck, they put the assistant GM for the team on LinkedIn. Should be there. I mean, why not? For the assistant
I'm gonna load
GM
my
position.
resume up.
There you go. Absolutely, indeed. There you go. Just again, this has been very chaotic, and this sale is also caused for a lot of chaos because the fact that now that transition that Mark Walter, CEO of the Guggenheim Group, and I'm going to keep on adding that in there because someone says I can't put Mark Walter and the Guggenheim Group together, and I'm going to go ahead and make it my mission to go ahead and put that as much together as I can. Hello, BDA Pink. But anyways, I want to go ahead and say that Mark Walter and the CEO of the Guggenheim Group, his plans to integrate the Dodgers and the Lakers front offices and organizations that goes awry now. So now you've got this sort of half-assed thing going on, Legend, as far as behind the scenes, where you got these Dodgers execs or these execs from the Dodgers that also work for the Lakers. They have to like, um, I gotta go. I can't stay. They'll probably most likely be gone. Any of the changes that have been made are all up in the air. So it's going to be very interesting to see. And then you've got, of course, what Bob Iger said about the future of Genie Bus and that agreement that took place as far as if it changes, it'll change. So yeah, that was very nice to see as far as it's concerned. Lloyd, how you doing, my friend? Hopefully you have your good weekend. I hope everyone's having a good weekend. Much better than me. Some good
Yeah.
weekend start to far. Not great, not great. But Lloyd says trading for Luca was the worst thing to ever happen. Man, we're starting so positive
Yeah.
on today's show. Lakers were forced to give AR franchise setback. Yeah, I'm not. Lloyd. You don't have to go ahead and you're preaching the choir on the AR contract on that one. Joe, myself, the entire panel thought it was a huge overpay, and yeah, it's the thing that people will throw at you, Lloyd, is the fact that that first year because only 21 or $22 million is what counts on the cap. Oh, that cap hold, that beautiful cap hold. Well, that doesn't count for 2, 3, and 4. 2, 3, and
Mm-hmm.
4, it's 100% cap hold. And if he's not giving you the 100% of value on investment on return, ROI, then that's going to be a problem indeed. But there you go. But experiment, Luca doesn't have to ask for a trade. He can opt out in 2028. That is correct. He has a player option in 2028, guys. So the stay for Luca might be short if the Lakers don't provide a winning team around him. But we'll have to see. But getting back to the schedule, I want to go ahead and start off with the games of October. At home versus Golden State Warriors on the 21st. At home versus whatever team the Clippers will roll out at this point, and I'm not sure. Should we call them the LA Daktronics? Or should we call them the LA Aspirations?
I think Clippers fit them perfectly because they were clipping trees.
Yeah, that's the problem is that Kawhi wasn't on social media looking like he clipped a tree or like he was going ahead and pitching a scoreboard. He did nothing. So now, I mean, with Daktronics and the big old halo that they made, one picture of him pointing at it. That's all you needed. That's all you needed. But okay, all right, whatever. But they can play the.
I got a prediction what I think gonna happen with his situation. Though. I think his contract gonna get voided, and then he's gonna be able to just walk to Toronto. And the Clippers.
I think he'll be suspended for a year. I really think so. If they're going to void his contract, they're going to suspend him for a year. I think they should. They'll Uncle Dennis will be banned, which is not even a big deal because he's got a new agent anyways. At this point, the other two agents, Uncle Dennis and the other gentleman, I forget that guy's gentleman from Florida, that was also partially involved in all this. Those two guys will probably be out for good because he has sought and gotten new representation that is not tainted by this previous scandal. But if his contract is voided, Legend, yeah, they're suspending him for a year. They're not going to make it advantageous for him to go ahead and say, "Oh, we got out of your $40 million contract, so you can grab a $50 million contract." No. The thing is, you take those draft picks away. Finding is not going to do too much because it's Ballmer, but suspending Kawhi for a year, I think, would also send a message as well. But the thing is, it's going to go through arbitration. It's going to go through the players' union will fight it. Ballmer will fight it. If it's the kind of penalty that you and I are asking for, or you and I think that this situation deserves, then they're going to fight it and it's going to go to court. I'll leave it at that. And you and I might be really old by the time it gets done, but Lakers new owner has more attention than
yeah, come on, man.
Actually, JSJ, people didn't seem too surprised by it. The feedback I got, I mean, as far as initially, oh, yeah, okay, new owners, all right. But they didn't really seem too enamored. We didn't get the kind of response. I didn't get the kind of numbers. I didn't get the kind of excitement over this that we did on the last occasion with Mark Walter. I think a lot more people, like Joe, he was much more excited about Mark Walter buying it because of the tie-in to the Dodgers and whatnot. Now, this is an unknown quantity, and people are apprehensive about the unknown. I can't give you an idea of what Josh Kushner and Bob Iger are going to do as a team together. I mean, they were going to go ahead and invest in a Vegas expansion team if they got the bid there. I know Kushner has been a minority owner for Miami, which he has to get out of, and previously Memphis. But I don't know how they'll be as majority owners, as primary owners going forward. So I think it's that unknown legend that really is like doesn't have people excited, because the known factor was with Mark Walter collecting all those World Series trophies, and they're like, oh, it'll be a matter of time before that happens to the Lakers as well.
Yeah, I did think it's just a lot of it's the unknown. You kind of knew what you would get with Mark Walter, knowing what he's done with the Dodgers. That's what you thinking he can do the same thing in the NBA, but that got cut short, and now you're going with guys from Disney, and you have no idea how this gonna play out. Could be good, could be a disaster. You just have no idea, and that's the scary part. It's the unknown. You don't know, is these guys gonna spend money the right way or the stupid way. You just don't know what they're gonna end up doing, and I can understand a lot of people being a little bit iffy going into this season, and I guess it is a little like a red flag to see that you got passed on to somebody else, like just like that quick, and not even a whole year. That can be a little alarming too. That happened. Now I would really begin to say there's a lot of smoke in the air if next year you get passed on to another person. Then I start asking a lot of questions like, what's going on? Too many people passing. This ain't normal. This ain't normal no more now.
Well, it's clear that Mark Walter, CEO of the Guggenheim Group, got in over his head as far as the finances are concerned when he did this on his own. So the Lakers obviously were the first thing. Again, one of the most expensive things that he had on his plate, and it looked like that plate got a little hot for him, so he had to go ahead and sell it off. And obviously, with the federal investigation now making it a little bit harder for him. So we'll see what happens going forward with that, and again also as well with the investigation in Kawhi. Will I be a grandfather by the time that happens? Could be. I could be a grandfather.
I might be a father.
Exactly. So it's going to take a while. Anybody expecting this to happen, finish up pretty soon, I think you're just, it's not, because again, even if a decision were laid down tomorrow, depending on how severe the severity of it is, you're going to expect, you probably will see Ballmer and or the players union fight it, and the players union fights it, especially Legend. What's going on? Even though their hand is forced. Before we get back in the schedule, their hand is forced. It makes them look bad to fight it, but as your union, because he's a dues-paying member, that's the only thing he's been paying. That they have to fight it for him, even though it makes them look bad in doing so.
Yeah, you have to, because he's part of the player union. You got to do it, even if you know deep down, Kawhi, there's no hope for you, buddy. I'm sorry, you and your man are screwed. Even though you know that, you got to still, got to go out there and save face and try. Even though deep down you know this is a wrap, is over. You're gonna get punished, whatever happens. You shouldn't have done it, but gotta still do it. The player association has to do it. They ain't got no choice, team. Their hands are kind of tied behind their back on this one. You ain't got no choice. You're forced to. But it's a losing situation. I mean, it's unfortunate Kawhi put himself in this spot, but I gotta blame your agent for allowing you to do something this stupid, because should never been in this spot. But gotta pay the price.
Got to pay the price indeed. And again, I just want to make sure and say again, guys, I understand you're all entitled to your opinions and stuff that went on, but can we just not go to the places that you guys have been going already in this chat? Let's just keep it friendly. Again, your opinions do matter, but come on, guys. Some of the stuff that you're saying in the chat is just, you guys are better than that, especially it's the weekend. supposed to be relaxed. It's supposed to be relaxing, but we'll just keep it at that. But again, it is Lakers weekend. It is, of course, Legend from I Got Next Sports Media, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching us. We truly appreciate it. So, when you look at the schedule, and again for the Lakers, it's Golden State, Clippers at home. Then they go out on the road to Utah. They come back and host Portland. They're at the Clippers and at the Golden State Warriors. So you face the Lakers. Your Golden State Warriors face the Lakers twice already before the month of November. How do you see it going for you guys as far as your start to the regular season for Golden State?
Just off of looking at this schedule, I got to pull up on my end too. Knowing that we got to play the Lakers, I'm going to count that as a loss. Memphis, you should be able to win that. It's the rest of them. It's like the beginning of this schedule is honestly rough. You got the Lakers, Memphis, Phoenix, Denver, Minnesota, Lakers, Clippers, Phoenix, Miami. Just the whole almost a month of the season. It's like a gauntlet starting off already. I can honestly see the Warriors kind of hanging around 500 or maybe even a little below 500. Just off of at the beginning of the season all the way to like Thanksgiving time period. I wouldn't be surprised if we hanging around 500 or just a little below it because you're playing a lot of playoff teams and teams I honestly feel like is better than the Warriors right now. It's a rough start. I mean, this can be just be lucky to stay in the middle and barely be over float in the water, just barely be hanging in there, or it can be a straight disaster. It's a rough start. I mean, what out of the first 5 games, I can see us being 3-5 or 2-5. Honestly, I can see that happening just because of look who we going against: Lakers, Phoenix, Denver, Minnesota. I mean, and then Lakers again. Like that's just, geez, thanks a lot, Adam Silver. Thanks a lot. I mean, I know we suck already, but damn, man, you just throw it right in our face at that point. Like, yeah, go lose these games, pretty much. Yeah, that's a disaster already to start. It's a disaster.
I know for the Lakers, the first 11 games until they're on the road on the 8th to when they're on the road at Detroit, there is no reason why Legend they shouldn't get off to a good start. I don't
I
want to
agree.
go. I don't want to go Laker Tom 10-0, but when you play Golden State twice, when you play the Clippers twice, when you have 2 home games against the Trailblazers, you have the other games against the Kings, you have home games against the Raptors and the Heat, uh, and also on the road, you have a Utah Jazz game. All those games are extremely winnable for the Lakers, even if they are not as strong as last year's team, or if they are. Again, I'm not here to evaluate this year's team yet. I'm going to do that at a later time. The Legend will provide it as well. So with that said, again, these are a very winnable games through game number 11 before they go out on a 4-game road trip. So I see that as a good opportunity for the Lakers to get some early confidence with their new roster in the early part of the season. Legend.
Yeah, I think that stretch is a good stretch to where most of them games are winnable, and it's a good stretch to kind of build that chemistry. Because I don't think you guys are really gonna start playing a very tough schedule until maybe going into December. I can't remember what y'all schedule looked like.
Yeah, going to December is when actually it starts to get even just a little tougher. But really, I mean, I guess you could even say till the 21st that I guess there's a matchup against Denver in December 19th. The games at Minnesota on the 16th and 18th are tough. It really doesn't get tough for the Lakers until the 16th. They're at Houston no, on November 30th. The 27th of November. That's the first time they match up against the Spurs. And they only meet up against the Spurs and OKC 3 times during the season, which also is an advantage as well.
That's actually super helpful right there too, to know that at least you only gonna play like 6 games against the possible top 2 teams of the West, and that can be a really good advantage down the road as well. And I think like last year, I think you guys played them 4 times, both of them. So that's a big advantage at this time, knowing that you don't have to play 8 games against two of the possible top 2 teams or top 3, however way it plays out. So that helps out a lot. But you can also kind of still get an idea of what they look like going into this season. Like I expect San Antonio to be strong. Oklahoma, I still think they will be. Just a matter of seeing what it looks like after losing one of their top defenders this summer. So seeing how it affects their roster going forward, and seeing if somebody on that team gonna redeem himself after what he did against Victor Wembanyama. He's gonna come back out here and redeem himself. He became a laughing stock after what we saw.
I look at it again, November, following up on what we were talking about with the Lakers in their first 11 games. Through November, there's the 2 toughest games are a game as against the San Antonio Spurs, and then also, like I mentioned earlier that month, a game at Detroit. But again, there are very winnable games outside of those 2 road games. There are just every other game you can say the Lakers should be the favorite or have a great chance of winning in those games throughout the month of November. Again, when it goes after the NBA Cup, because you have like 2 weeks where they don't have schedules right now because of what happens with the NBA Cup, and then the NBA Cup, I believe, has your team, the Golden State Warriors, and my team, the Los Angeles Lakers. Do you see either of them posing a threat in the NBA Cup to the Group C's probable team that's going to advance in the San Antonio Spurs? Do you see the Lakers and or the Golden State Warriors putting up any fight against the Spurs?
For the Golden State Warriors, if I sat here and said they can put up a fight against the Spurs, that'd be like me saying I can go out here and move this 18-wheeler truck right now. They got no chance. It ain't gonna happen. The Lakers the Lakers to me got a legitimate chance to put up a good fight against the Spurs. I try to tell everybody, to me, for everybody in the West, you really got to try to win this championship before Victor Wembanyama becomes what we think he's going to become. Because that loss in the finals, that's going to become a drive. And I do get the feeling when he start rolling, it might be over for everybody in the West at that point. It might be a wrap. So this is the time to take advantage of that. But I do think they can give him a good run. I think they can. Even though you don't have a starting 3 or 4, I think you still can you'll be competitive. I don't think it'd be like a blowout, anything like that, but you're gonna get them at least a good competition. The competition is going to be there, way better than what the Warriors gonna give. Unless Steph go ballistic, there's no Jimmy Butler out there. I don't know when he gonna come back. Might be the middle of the season or before he show back up. Might be New Year, but between the two, Lakers all day. They're gonna get him a good chance, a good run.
You make a good point. Jays plays days. Detroit has a lot to prove to be more than just the regular season. But let's going through the calendar right now, because I mentioned in early November they have a date with the Lakers do with the Detroit Pistons on the road. Which team is this for the Detroit Pistons in your mind, Legend? Because obviously, you're a follower of Atlanta as well. You have to keep an eye on the Detroit Pistons. Do you see the Detroit Pistons as being a team that will once again be the top seed in the Eastern Conference? Do you see them reverting back to what they were 2 years ago when they were 8th seed, as a spry 8th seed in the Eastern Conference? Or I think not 8th seed, but they were that first round. Remember, they were a first round, very spry. They were battling in that first round a couple seasons ago. But then they graduated to the regular season. As far as number one last season, do you see them as a number 1, a number 8, or somewhere in the middle?
If I had to pick between it, I'm gonna say I wouldn't say in the middle. I'm gonna say somewhere in the top half. I think they're gonna show growth and improvement wise coming out of this playoff run. Just like the Spurs, I think they're gonna come back more hungry and better attitude going into this season. They're gonna be more driven. I wouldn't be surprised they're not a number one seed, but I would think they'll be somewhere between 5 and 1, somewhere in that range. I think they'll still be like a top range team. I'm not sure about number one though, but I think they'll at least be between 5 and 1, somewhere in that range for sure.
I do want to mention again when as we go into December, there is a period between the second against New Orleans and then the 14th against New Orleans that they're going to pack some games in the middle for the Lakers based on how their NBA Cup fares out. If San Antonio doesn't fare as well in the Group C, they might actually add an extra game in there for San Antonio. So you might want to have to watch out for that, Lakers fans. But with that said, though, December, outside of the bookending games and what is we don't know yet about the NBA Cup, there are very concerning signs as far as during the middle of that month, Legend, when you get two games back to back on the road in Minnesota. They're playing a baseball doubleheader, as they call them, I guess, with the staying in at one place for two straight games. So two games on the road in Minnesota in mid-December, and then right after that, the next night after the final matchup against Minnesota, they get to play in Denver. So that could be a very painful time for Lakers fans indeed during mid-December.
Yeah, that can be pretty rough. Going between Minnesota, and then Denver, that can be rough. And my only thing I would say on that type of schedule too is what is Denver going to look like? Because they haven't really did much of nothing. So it's kind of curious to see how they're going to look at that point. Like, because I don't know what's going to happen with the Watson situation. Are you going to pay him? Are you going to move him? Because you got to do something. Or you just going to accept and go into the second apron and just say, forget it, they're going to pay the tax or whatever. But they got to make a move. I don't know what's going to happen with that. So it really going to come down to, what that team looks like. Because I noticed that a lot about a lot of West teams. A lot of teams have not really done much. A lot of people going to really be running it back. And then I know that's probably because of the CBA at that point. That nobody really ain't moving like that unless you just forced to.
What are your thoughts on Minnesota? Again, some people seem to be all over the place because of one, LaMelo Ball. It's where you think and where you like the Minnesota Timberwolves and Vegas and the betting places like MGM and DraftKings. They seem to like the Lakers a little bit more. They have them tied for third with Denver as far as the win count, the win total, as far as they're concerned. So they seem to be a little bit higher, right around 49, I think 49 and a half, 50 games as far as what they've got for them. What are your thoughts? Because I hear analysts all over the place because of how much they like or how much they don't like one LaMelo Ball.
Man, that roster is it's a little iffy because it's like I like the ball picking up LaMelo Ball is not a bad move. Another guard that you can take some pressure off of Ant. It's gonna be hard to double Ant knowing that there's another ball handler on the court too. But they're so small now. They're no longer that big team anymore. They gave up that size to get LaMelo. So that's gonna make a big difference right there. And then the biggest question about the whole thing is LaMelo gonna be healthy or is he gonna be in and out the lineup? He's gonna be in and out. I mean, you technically got worse at that point because now you're missing your big lineup and you missing LaMelo. You have neither one. At that point, you kind of screwed at that point. So it's like I'm kind of half and half with the whole move. I'm iffy about it.
So with that said, because Minnesota does, starting Jaden McDaniel at this power forward, I think is, the Lakers might have to start Jared Vanderbilt or Zaire Williams or, just a small, they might have to force a small forward into a power forward slot. So a team like the Lakers may not be able to take full advantage of it, but there's, going to be some teams that are going to take advantage of that size differential. The Lakers, and the Wolves are going to be dependent on their center to do a lot of work inside. Kessler, of course, Walker Kessler for the Lakers, and Rudy Gobert for the Minnesota Timberwolves, because they don't have that support valve of a big power forward being able to help them box out, get rebounds, et cetera, et cetera. So that they're very similar in that aspect as far as it's concerned.
Yeah, they're very similar. Both of them are kind of small in the power forward department. So that's one of the biggest things that's kind of iffy for Minnesota. Just you lacking the size. I mean, this move can work now if things work out with LaMelo. He stay healthy. He showed maturity in his game. But if he's still the same old, and he's still getting hurt, it kind of defeats the purpose of doing that entire trade at that point. But then for the Lakers standpoint, just like them, just like Minnesota, you're gonna be a little small in the power forward. And I think that's something. This is gonna be something Rob Pelinka gonna have to make a decision on too. Do you go get the 3 and 4, at least one of those two, 3 or 4, get one, or do you try to answer the center position where your backup center is not something I'd be happy about, but Kevin Looney. So I mean, Walker Kessler, you can't get hurt. You get hurt, you in a world of trouble.
That is agreed. Very much agreed on that one. And to finish out December, again, not counting those days that they currently don't have scheduled because the NBA Cup, there are two games on the road at Minnesota. There's 2 games with Denver. There's 3 games though on the good side and the bright side in December against the New Orleans Pelicans. So that should be a 3-0. Very important they go 3-0 against New Orleans. And then a Memphis and a Houston. And it all gets topped off on Christmas against LeBron and the Sixers, my friend.
I'm gonna go and tell LeBron straight up. You might hear some boos because people gonna be mad at you for taking $8 million with the Sixers and never doing that for them. So they tell LeBron you might hear them boos for that. But you might hear some cheers too because you gave everybody a good Christmas gift. They wanted you gone from LA, so you gave them their Christmas gift early. So you might hear a mixture of both or one or the other.
It's funny because Lakers latest, I think it was covering like 3 weeks ago, one on LeBron. They had LeBron, or they put LeBron on the thumbnail for the video, and Craig commented on like 3 weeks ago, whatnot. Shout out to Craig, by the way. And it's funny, people are still answering that today, all these weeks later. And of course, what is it on? LeBron. And of course, their thoughts. And even though it's a lot of it's negative, there are still LeBron supporters out there. But again, yeah, there's still that's so much negativity about LeBron. And again, I'm glad he's gone. It was time for him to move on. It's good. Just get clean sweep. Sometimes you just gotta go ahead and just
no more mixed messages and all that other stuff,
Yeah, cut the cord, move on indeed. But again, with the Lakers having no true starting forwards and a little bit of an issue at backup center, we'll see what kind of size issues come to foray against some of those bigger teams as they match up. But January for the Los Angeles Lakers, starts off the year next year, 2027, on the road against Chicago, Toronto, Washington, all very winnable games. On the 7th of January, they're at home versus the Celtics, and then at home right after that. Man, back-to-back against Boston and Detroit. One of the things I wanted to ask, Lakers, I believe, are one of 3 teams to go 5 nights and 7 days. How much do you think that wears down teams when you play 5 nights and 7 days? Again, Joe's been very adamant in these days of luxury hotels and luxury airliners. Shouldn't be that much of an issue, but as we've seen, it does wear down these guys, and the results do vary of how these teams, if they don't have the depth to back them up, kind of wear down on these 5 out of 7 days.
Yeah, it can be exhausting constantly getting on planes and buses and not having a chance to really be in your bed that long to recoup after playing for so many hours and then the next game and so on and so forth. It can be taxing on the body. And this is where I'm going to say that it's going to be taxing, but I feel like you should be able to handle it a little bit, a lot. Well, I'm gonna say a lot better than last season because a lot of your players are much younger. They should be able to bounce back a lot better versus when you had 34, 35 year olds. It take them a lot longer to bounce back. It's not gonna happen overnight. Them all these type of 5 games and 7 nights, it'll be taxing on a LeBron or a Marcus Smart and so on and so forth. But guys like you guys got like Grinds and all these young guys, it should be able to bounce back from that. Really, it really shouldn't be no excuses as much about them back to backs. You're too young to be having that type of issue. I'm not gonna say you're not gonna be tired, but nothing like a Marcus Smart or any of them guys. You should be able to bounce back pretty well to be able to handle it. You younger. That's the point of getting younger to be able to handle something like this. This younger team is definitely suited for a regular season situation. Playoff, that's a different thing.
Well, I mentioned that 5 out of 7 days type deal, and that's actually to start the year. That's one of them right there. One of those 5 games in 7 nights type deals, right to start the new year from the second to the eighth. So beware of that, Lakers fans, on how they are, because again, they have back-to-back home games against Boston and Detroit, and those will not be a walk in the park for either of those games, no matter where Detroit is, because I think Detroit will still be a very competitive team come this upcoming season. And then for the rest of the month, we get into some winnable games on the road against the Clippers at Portland. Now, your thoughts on Portland? That team, ownership issues aside, I just don't know what they're doing.
I don't
They've
get
got
it
all
either.
these. They've got old players all over the place. They got young players all over the place, and then you got Kamara and Denny Advia sitting there going, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? Because you've got Damian Lillard, John Morant vying for time. You've got Drew Holiday that probably still wants a starting spot. You've got Sharp and Scoot Henderson, who now your future should be in those years 3 and 4. Now they're supposed to be backups in years 3 and 4. What is going on in Portland, and do you think it'll click this time around? I mean, they took a step, you'd think, in the right direction by getting to the playoffs. I'm not sure they're going to be able to duplicate that just because of exactly what's going on, and will they find their own direction? Will it all mesh together?
It looked like they're almost like they're in the middle to me. It's like you're getting younger, but you're also getting older. Like you're adding young talent that you want to let grow, but you're also bringing in these older guys who are kind of like ready to win situation type of players. So it's like they're in between trying to figure out what direction you're gonna go because it doesn't make sense to have a bunch of guards for one, but also it's just kind of confusing. Are you trying to let your younger players develop to be your future, or are you trying to go all in to win or something? Because you can't do both. Prime example is my Warriors. They tried to do both, didn't work out. Can't do both. You got to pick. Are you going for it, or are you trying to develop? Which one they're gonna be? So it looks like they're kind of right in the middle. And they had a good season last year. Hey, they made the first round. Yeah, they got bounced, but they gave Spurs a good punch. They gave them a good punch. So I'm kind of iffy about that team. Like, I just don't know exactly. I don't know where they're headed because there's things that they did is kind of mixed signal. Like I don't know what you're trying to do. So I hope they know what they're trying to do because if I was a fan, I'd be like, I don't know what y'all want to do. I don't know if you're trying to win or develop. Which one? I don't know what you're doing.
Exactly. I don't know if they are ready to compete now. I think they look like a team that, like a year ago, heading into this season, looked like it was going to be a nice young developing team ready to take a next step together as a starting five. And now it's just up in the air. Now it's just up in the air because you got Damian Lillard. You don't know how he's going to be coming back from the Achilles. John Morant. You don't know if he'll ever find. I mean, we saw Russell Westbrook, and the latter half of his career, his shot just was just so unreliable. And is that same kind of trajectory going to happen with John Morant? Which is it just kind of sucks because if those two are putting up all those shots and jacking up a lot of shots, that's going to take away from Denny Advia, who had a really nice season, and Kamara, who a lot of people are liking as a really good 3-and-D player.
Yeah, a lot of people are liking him. He's a really good 3-and-D, but if you're not going to develop him, I don't get it at that point. Like that's the thing. That's one thing I think Portland really got to do. You got to figure out your direction. You can't be in the middle. You just can't do that.
Well, that's what this team screams now. To me, it just screams ninth or 10th. But we'll have to wait and see where I actually pick them up. But it's just screaming to me because, like you said, it doesn't have a direction. If Damian Lillard steps in and it's Damian Lillard from 2018, all bets are off, and this team could be, in the hunt as far as in the top 6 in the Western Conference.
7 seed at most at that point, I would say.
Yeah, but this is 35-year-old coming off an Achilles tear, Damian Lillard. So that again is just really really, really just very, very disappointing. So with that said, though, it is, of course, the Lakers fast break. It is, of course, Lakers weekend along with Legend. This is me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. Truly appreciate you joining us again, talking about the schedule coming up. I did want to mention, though, for the Lakers, after those 2 games against at home against the Celtics and Pistons, it is very winnable once again from mid-January all the way to about the 26th when they play host to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And I remember the last time the Lakers played in the late January home game against the OKC Thunder. I remember it was Jalen Williams had just come back to the lineup before he was heading back out of the lineup because he got hurt right after.
He got hurt right out.
But I remember him torching and making a mission out of torching one Austin Reeves, including late in the game on repeated occasions because they didn't have. I don't think SGA was playing. So with that said,
no, he didn't play that game.
Yeah. So with that said, it was just very concerning to see the way that happens. I hope that lightning will not strike twice and the Lakers will be more competitive, but we'll have to wait and see. But right after that game, Legend, at home, they go out on the dreaded Grammy trip. And that I believe is 8 games. That leads into February, if I'm not mistaken. 8 road games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 road games. 7 road games on that road trip. That's really where you will tell where this team is at. The Grammy trip, just like doesn't Golden State or Atlanta have a long trip too, as far as they're concerned? Usually these teams will have like one trip to accommodate a rodeo or something like that, like San Antonio does for rodeo trip. I know that. Does Golden State or Atlanta have something like that? I don't remember.
I know. This I'm looking at the schedule. Up in March, the Hawks will be on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 game road trip. Pretty much all out west doing that.
There's usually a reason why. It's because someone else is paying the big bucks to rent out the arena for some reason. Like, for instance, the Grammys for the crypto.com arena, and like for the rodeo usually for the Hemisphere arena for San Antonio. So usually there's those famous trips once a year, and with the Lakers it is the Grammy trip, and it is, like I said, leads you into February, but they're on the road against Indiana, New York, Charlotte, Boston, Brooklyn, San Antonio, and Phoenix. And the thing is, by the time they get to San Antonio, that'll be like game number 6 out of 7 on that road trip. And again, it'll be a true test for the Lakers, this Grammy trip, because again, I think it really will go ahead and determine a lot of where the Lakers stand. I don't see them getting a huge month of March like they did last season. I think that, that was lightning in a bottle, 13-2. I don't know if they'll have any other 13-2 months like that. I don't think you can really count on that, but they can have 6, 7, 8 game winning streaks. I can see this team, especially early on in the season, but how much will that momentum from the earlier part of the season and the seemingly easier schedule, take them into a moment like this, like I talk about in the Grammy trip, when there's some really tough games on the road?
Honestly, I think for them it's a lot of potential there, but to me it comes down to I think it's probably one of the biggest thing I think for this roster going into the season. How healthy are you going to be? Because something I told a buddy of mine who's a Laker fan too. when you lost Austin Reeves and Luca last year, what do you look like if LeBron wasn't there at that moment? What happened at the season? Do you go from 3 all the way down to like 7 or 8 or something? Like you just drop like a rock? Like what happens? So it's like to me, it just come down to how healthy can these guys be? Can Luca kind of not have a lot of the knickknacks, injuries like Walker Kessler? He stay healthy. I think a lot of this is gonna come down to your top 3 guys that staying healthy wise. Austin Reeves, is he ready? Is he ready to make that step to be that second man? Now you ready to try to make? It's gonna be a jump. There's no LeBron or anybody back there behind you to bail you out. This is you. You gonna show us, is you worth that contract you just got? You finna show us what you got. So I mean, it's gonna come down to health and how these others do. Like I said, I think the roster is not bad. It's building in the right direction. It's gonna come down to health, chemistry, and Austin Reeves. Is you gonna live up to this contract, or because I think he's gonna do good in the regular season. He usually do good then. To me, I think, as I've been saying since last year, the real measurement for Austin Reeves is that playoff.
I
Is
agree.
the regular season, or just be a regular season player only, or you gonna be able to play in both. Can't keep doing that, disappearing in the playoff, especially not now. If you disappear now, you can go on the great star waving the white flag. You through. You asking a lot from Luca now.
Well, the thing is with the Grammy trip last year, and that's a good point as far as what Jay's Plays Day said. Spurs tend to hit their stride and become a real problem coming off that rodeo road trip. The Lakers, actually, to correct what I said earlier, the Lakers coming off the Grammy trip later that month, in the month, started their huge month of March, which got everybody's hopes up, and everybody started to think that the Lakers could really start to contend after that great March that they have. So I'll see how that looks here as far as the March in a second. But I wanted to also
When did they
get to
play
what.
the Hawks?
Oh, they when they play the Hawks. Well, they play the Hawks early in the season. I remember that. Yeah, they're on the road at Atlanta on November 9th. And then Atlanta stops back in. Man, they don't see them until March 19th. Just to let you know, that they're at the crypt on that one. But I wanted to go ahead and just touch on something real quick as far as the ownership. Swung said, "So has Gerald embraced the new ownership?" I wasn't as far off as Joe. If you heard my comments, I was like, I was waiting to see. I was waiting to see what Mark Walters, CEO of the Guggenheim Group. I did not know how this was going to turn out. He was starting to make changes. I still was kind of criticizing him a little bit because Rob Pelinka's still in his job, so that is obviously was a concern to me. But again, I really hadn't seen we hadn't seen the full effects of Mark Walters, CEO of the Guggenheim Group, and before he's gone. So with this team, but Joe, give him credit again and again. Can't say I didn't give him credit when he deserves it. He did say Bob Iger is 75. And I said, of course, Josh Kushner, he's a venture capitalist. The combination does not bode well for long-term ownership for both these guys. I'm just gonna make it abundantly clear. So, will they provide a team that can win? My guess is yes. My guess is yes. They'll provide a team that can win within reason. Of course, they'll freak out Legend like all the owners do when if the Lakers get close to the second tax apron. They'll be like,
Start moving
and
people
just
left and right.
can't play the can't play that cap game. So again, they'll do. I think they'll do okay within reason, but I just don't think they'll have. You mean Legend? I think I asked this on the show last time, like over under 10 years with this ownership, and I'm going under because
Yeah, I'm going
again,
on.
yeah, I mean Bob Iger 75, and Josh Kushner is a venture capitalist, so that spells like I'm here. I own a team. I'm going to enjoy it while it lasts. But if somebody offers me 15 or 17 billion, guess what? I'm taking it. And I wouldn't blame them for doing so because again, it's a capitalistic society
Okay.
and you gotta go ahead and
I'll
do
be
what you do.
like,
But
what can I sign?
exactly. But the thing is you lose those owners that love the teams that they own. In the case of Iger and Kushner, they just wanted an NBA team. they had been season ticket holders and partial owners of other NBA teams. So they just wanted an NBA team of their own, and now they got it. And again, they're as an ownership team, I think they'll do fine. I just think that, again, I just don't think that they will stay long where they're at because, again, by their very nature, by the age of one and by the nature of another, I just think it speaks that they'll sell off sooner rather than later. But I also am sad that this is what it's come down to, that these teams are not owned by owners who love their teams. They're commodities now just to be bought and sold for the right price, Legend.
And one thing I will also say, Gerald, just picking off of what Jay just said in the chat, Jay's play just said, all them people who got hired by Mark Walter,
or the people that moved over or have dual jobs
they're gonna lose their job. I'm gonna assume so.
Yeah. So I think I don't. That's just Swung. I think you're correct on. Yeah, you were asking about that. I think you're correct, Legend. That I think at some point in time, all those hybrid Lakers employees are just going to revert back to Dodgers employees because Mark Walters, CEO of the Guggenheim Group, is no longer affiliated with that team, Legend.
Yeah, that's what I expect. I'm just gonna assume when the new guys get in, they're gonna probably tell them people that he was hired. Look, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. You're gonna probably lose your job by it's August. You got
or just stay
October.
the Dodgers. Those who are doing dual duty are just going to go back to going and doing the singles. Yeah. So, but the 15 vice presidents around Rob Pelinka's job probably just got a little easier as far as 15 vice presidents they're no longer breathing down his neck, but it also got harder because again, Bob Iger and Josh Kushner don't have that same guarantee, the same handshake deal that Mark Walters, CEO of the Guggenheim Group, and Jeannie Buss made this time last year.
Yeah, that's what I expect. I just didn't expect them to be so like that. I definitely didn't see that coming. But I probably feel bad a lot for the people who got hired by Mark because I'm gonna assume this probably was a little blindsiding to them because you probably were thinking, "Oh, I'm gonna be working for the Lakers and Dodgers." Oh, he gone. Since he's gone, I might well go and start cleaning my desk out because I'm gonna be gone next. So, because I would not be surprised if the new managers, the new owners are already called in and told everyone it's August the 15th. You got until October to be cleaned out, be heading out of here. Because they're not
keep that seat warm for someone else. Chris Paul, maybe. Chris Paul, indeed. I think a lot of people are going to be like, I think a lot of Lakers fans are going to be freaking out about that.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to see how people will feel if you see CP3 walk in. Not Chris Paul. How do you feel if he comes in with his suit and tie and he like, y'all work for me too then? That kind of, I'm not sure how Laker fans are going to feel about that. You finally get Chris Paul, though. He's here. It's not as a player, but, he's here, But that's expected. They're going to most likely get let go because as an owner, you want your people, not somebody else's people. I want my guys. You was hired by him. You got to leave with him too. You got to pack up, head back to the Dodgers, go back over there. That's what expected to happen. I'm almost at the point I might want to make a bet with somebody that Chris Paul can get hired somewhere in that front office for the Lakers.
Well, again, the Lakers were 15-2 in March of earlier this year. How will do you think they fare next year in March 2027? They start off their March a little bit difficult with a game in Orlando and then a game in Philadelphia against LeBron and the 76ers. If LeBron and or Joel Embiid will be healthy at that point in time, we'll have to wait and see. But they go right after that to a game at home against the Thunder. Later on in that month, on the 11th, they go against the Knicks at home. Then you have at home against the Cavaliers. Your Warriors on the 14th. They go to Portland. Then they're at home versus Phoenix. Your Hawks, Dallas. Dallas, I think, is a wild card. And tell me about your thoughts on them in a second, especially with Kyrie Irving coming back. And then they close out the month at Miami, at Cleveland, well, Miami with Giannis Antetokounmpo, at Cleveland, at Houston, and at Memphis, who could be a feisty team, a feisty young team that's really developed at that point in the season. And again, with the new lottery rules and the
Yeah.
relegation zone and all that, teams at the bottom will still be trying to fight to win. So I think, guys, a 15-2 March is probably not in the cards from what I see.
I don't think they'll be 15-2. I really think this year is kind of they're gonna be a good team, but to have like crazy expectations of this team, to me, it's not realistic because there's a lot of new guys on this team. It's gonna take at least one season for all these guys to really fully gel with each other, and then next year is when you really should put a lot of expectations. Not saying you shouldn't put none on them right now, but there's nothing too crazy. Probably won't happen because this team is still so new. But I don't see the 15-2 part either. I just think they're gonna be a good team too. But 15-2, eh, I would be a little surprised if they were to do that again. I would be really surprised, especially looking at what you got on your roster. You don't have a starting 3 and 4 like you did last year. You pretty much had that. You don't have that this time around, and it just comes down to health too. How healthy will you be? During that time period. Will Walker Kessler, develop into what you traded for. You traded for an all-star like center. Let's see if he's gonna develop into an all-star like center. Is he gonna develop into that? So it just comes down to a lot of things. But 15-2, like you, Gerald, I think that was just a hot moment. I don't know about that one on this one. I don't know if
Yeah,
you gonna can
it's
you expect Luka to do what he did, go bonkers like that again.
it's not set up for a 15-2 run in the month of March. I'm not trying to be negative because I know that it was called out for being negative, but realistic. Realistic when you have games all over the month of March with teams looking to be in the playoff hunt, and that also you have to go on the road to see, or they're coming to see you. Yeah,
Mhm.
I just think that 15-2 is out of the question. But if they go 10-6, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Now I can see that. I can see
10,
that.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Okay, 15. I think it's 15. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 15 games in the month of March from what I'm seeing. I could be wrong, but I think it's 15. If they go 10-5, I think that would be a solid
Yeah,
month indeed.
I think that still be a good month. I think that's a success to me. If you still manage to win double digits, I think that's a success. That's a darn good month, regardless of not being what it was last year. I think that's a good month if you do that.
That's a good question, Swung. Gerald,
Oh boy.
let's assume a
Yeah.
doomsday scenario. Oh, I love the doomsday, especially after D23, and hopefully you guys saw the Avengers Doomsday trailer that dropped. Yeah,
Hey, everybody call off of work, go to the movie that day.
I'm telling you, Legend, I would have loved it if RDJ they didn't announce RDJ. I just do the
Yeah.
trailer, do all the stuff, but keep it as nobody wants to keep surprises anymore as far as in the movies. It really irritates me to no end. Because it would have gotten even more interest. It would have gone viral if the first theaters say, "Oh yeah, it's RDJ, RDJ." People are like, "Wow, I want to see RDJ, RDJ." I think that would have been, to me, a
Yeah.
better thing.
Kind of blew it.
I keep arguing with my friends at the Pop Culture Cosmos, and they don't get it. But, all right, it's okay, whatever. But that movie should still make a lot of money, whether or not you advertised RDJ on the front of it or not. But okay, whatever. Uh, Swung, it says, Gerald, let's assume a doomsday scenario where new ownership doesn't invest. Again, that's a possibility, Swung,
Yeah.
because they could be like Mark and
Could be.
realize, I bought it. Um, um,
What I'm supposed to
um,
do?
cash. Cash. Do you take cards? Do you take cards? Do you take cards? Yeah, okay, yeah. They bounced. It didn't go through. Yeah, it could be an issue like that as far as because you spend so much money in acquiring the valuation Legend of 12.5 billion. Again, that's whatever the percentage of, because remember the buses still own a percentage, and there's two other
Mhm.
smaller minority owners, like 3 and 4 percentage points, something like that. I forget what how to break down. But again, you're paying for most of the bill on that one, so it's still a lot of money. It's still a lot of money, and we'll see if that is the case. But what do we do if Luca leaves? Well, we'll know, Swung. If Rob Pelinka does not put out a winner this year, and it doesn't look like he puts out a winner next year, if he's here, even this time next year, which I hope he's not, um, it's a concern. That's why Luca put in 2028 as a player option, because he can utilize that and head on out. But the Lakers, if they're wise to that, and it doesn't look good in 27, you would hope they would be smart enough to go ahead and trade Luca for a myriad of assets by that time, Legend.
I would tell you one team, and I know people here probably don't want to hear about them, but those fans from that side of the fence are gonna really start coming out the woodwork if it gets to that point. Them Dallas fans gonna start holding them hands up like, come on back, come on, come on.
I don't think that would work though, because Flag is a dominant player and
Yeah,
Luke is a
it won't
dominant
work.
player. So he, I don't know if that would be a great fit, Legend. It could work. I could see it work. As long as you have defenders around both those guys. Flag is a better defender, especially when he wants to be. But it all depends on how much you're asking him to go ahead and work on the offensive end as well. JSJ says I can definitely see Bob Myers replacing Rob since Iger has connections with him. He does, but remember, Bob Myers also as a consultant, I believe, right now for Philadelphia, he was the headed up
He
the
the main
search for
reason
the
they got LeBron.
yeah, he headed up the search that got a new GM. The GM actually has ties to LeBron. If you take a look back at the high school days for both those guys, and I believe that had a lot to do with what happened as far as LeBron getting it in, but as far as to Philadelphia. So again, we'll have to wait and see. But that was actually excellent question, Swung, on that one, because the Lakers are on a ticking time bomb. And they don't have enough assets. They don't have any assets really to move. I know that the guys on the Lakerholics crew this afternoon, Legend said, "Oh, we can't do much, but we should think about saving and the assets."
I mean,
They're
see,
3 seconds in a swap. That's not a myriad of assets, Legend.
Gerald, and that's something I want to comment on. That's why I tried to tell somebody else. I'm like, when Rob did what he did, this is all or nothing type of move because you're basically going from here towards that 2028 mark when he can opt out if he wants to. This is all or nothing type of move because you're locked in pretty much with this group. The most tradable asset that you got on this team if things just go downhill is Reeves. That's your best target to trade. And you're not. I highly doubt you're gonna get another superstar for Reeves. I highly doubt that. But you might get a lot of good, role players back for him. But like a superstar like talent, I highly doubt it. Anybody gonna trade that for Reeves. Yeah.
JSJ says, "What if Quentin Grimes becomes an All-Star caliber player? Do
Oh,
we
it's
trade
different.
him?"
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
that'll happen.
I don't think
He
they're gonna
was,
happen.
yeah. I mean, Quentin Grimes. This is not his rookie year in the league. JSJ. I think this is fifth year. Am I wrong? Let me go ahead and I'll go ahead and look at real quickly right here. Quentin Grimes stats, but I think he's in his fifth year in the league. But let me go ahead and make sure to get that correct. Actually, yeah, five. This will be a sixth season, JSJ in the league. At 6'4", he's going to be asked to do a lot. If he starts at small forward, he's going to be asked because he's a halfway decent defender. He's going to be asked to play against and guard against the opposing team's best player more times than not. On Philadelphia, we saw how well he did when he got the chance to go ahead and be in the score, but that was after he was traded from Dallas and Philadelphia was tanking that season. When it came to the actual next season, when they were trying hard to actually win games, he was a bench player coming off the bench for them. I don't see him breaking out. I see he could become a scorer in the league as far as that he scored and averaged over 20 points a game. So scoring may not be a problem for him, but as an all-around player, Legend, I don't know if I see him taking that far of a next step.
Man, that's a tough situation. It's just like you don't want to be banking on Grimes becoming an all-star. Like Gerald just said, he's not a rookie, so you can't really have that type of expectations at this point. If you want to hope that that might happen to somebody, it's probably like a Cameron Carr or something like. You got time that he might can develop into that. But to me, at this point of their career, Grimes is pretty much what he is at this point. I mean, the best thing you can do in this situation is just hope that Reed's gonna take another jump in his game. Kessler is gonna take another jump in his game. It's the best bet that you really got at this point. I mean, that's all you really can do. Luka gonna do Luka. He's gonna.
They put all their eggs in the basket.
Yeah,
they put all their eggs in this one basket with that trio of Luka, Austin, and Kessler, and they're riding with it. And God bless them. And I hope it works out. I really do. I really want to go ahead and say how good this team is. I really want to. But again, my instincts and my decision making are kind of up in the air right now. Again, coming off the off season where I graded this off season a C. I don't know how much better you can really get if your off season is a C to me in my understanding, and especially with Vegas and these betting your circles. They usually know things for the most part. They're not perfect. Absolutely, they're not perfect, but you'll be surprised how close they get more times than not. Having the Lakers around 45, 46 wins is a step back, and that's not going to make Luka happy if that's the case.
Not at all. And that's why I kind of, was saying when you got Walker Kessler, still going to continue to say this, good pickup. I just hated you had to give up so much for someone who's not an all-star yet. That's the only thing I hated. And it made it to me doing that made more pressure onto yourself that you need this to work out because it's going to be hard to get out this mess. And it's just a situation where you don't want to go into 2028 with a bunch of uncertainty. Let's say 26 and 20. Let's say 26, 27 season, either one, 26, 27, 27, 28. Both these two seasons, still can't reach the finals. You don't want the doubts to already start creeping in Luka's mind. Like, can I really win here? That started coming into your mind a little bit, and now you got to go into the question of what if Luka walks? Which you don't want to. You don't want that to happen because I'm going to assume a lot of Laker fans might think the dark days are coming back all over again or something like that. You don't want that to happen. So you got to at least give Luka hope that, hey, I can still get to the finals with this thing. But it comes down to what this roster can do because you're invested in it. This is it. This is most likely your roster for this season, and most of the people are going to be back the next season. This is going to be it. Like I said, your best way out is going to be maybe next year, halfway through the season, you'd be like, Austin Reeves ain't working. Get rid of all them AR pillows we brought in. Their favorite country music song. Get all that out of here. We done. Hey, Detroit, you still want him? He's available. That's the only way to get out at that point. To make a step.
Farron, great to have you here. He says, I can see Grimes becoming part of a Lakers system that maximizes his talent, and I'd be very happy with that. Doesn't need to be an all-star. No, he doesn't need to be an all-star.
Yeah, he don't need to be an all-star.
But don't shoot 33% like you did last season from three, or else that's not going to be good.
He's going to leave you wide open.
Yeah, they will. And the Lakers, again, if they want to go to a 5-out offense or an offense where it's 4-out and you have guys shooting more threes than they did this time last season, which Laker Tom is very high on because Laker Tom believes that this team will shoot more consistently and shoot more often from behind the arc, really playing into what Laker Tom has talked about for years on his shows and on in his blogs. So we'll see what happens there. But to head out the last part of the season in April, they start off, no April Fools here, but they're on the road at Oklahoma City. Only fool my. Okay, get this. Okay, we talked about how that as of now, unless the NBA Cup season changes it somehow, the Lakers only play OKC and San Antonio 3 times each during the course of the season, Legend. Well, one of those times for each is right in the beginning of April because as the season winds down, as playoff spots are being contested for, And possibly, if you look at the matchup, if you look at, again, those betting circles that has OKC and San Antonio only separated by a game as far as the betting circles is concerned. So let's assume that might happen where they're closely aligned, like they were last season, because
Yep.
San Antonio was within a couple games. The beginning of April has the Lakers on the road at OKC, and they finish out good news, bad news. They finish out the season at home on a 5-game homestand. But the next game after OKC is San Antonio. And again, there's another Minnesota doubleheader on the 7th and 9th before they end with Phoenix at home, my friend.
Yikes. I mean, and that's the end of the season? I mean, jeez, boy. You better hope them teams start resting players in this. Hope San Antonio and Spurs to be resting at that point. They sit Victor and SGA, they sit all of them down. You can get, and then hopefully you're in a position to where maybe you don't really need that win that bad either. You start resting your players in that situation. You don't want to be in a spot where you're like, well, damn, I got to win this game now. But I'm going to say this, though, Gerald. The good thing in that situation, where if you want to look at a bright light situation, is there's a good chance the Spurs and the Thunder will be resting at that point. There's a very good chance. Unless what happened last year happens and they're like neck and neck, and now they both still kind of playing at full strength. So to me, before that situation comes, you got to handle your business in the regular season, so you don't be in a situation where those last 5 games are so crucial that you got to sit here and keep playing your main guys, keep playing your starters, because you're kind of battling for spots. So handle your business. You won't be in that situation. It won't matter as much. That's the best thing you can do in that one. But that's pretty critical, depending on what everyone is in what everyone's situation is at that time. Just come down to it.
Well, my friend, it's been a great episode breaking down the schedule, and I wanted to go ahead and ask before we head on out: is there anything other, concerns as far as the schedule for your teams, or anything other that you want to point out as far as matchups during the course of the season that you want to talk about before we head on out?
I would definitely say for my Hawks, I love my Hawks starting off the season. My Hawks schedule is pretty light to start the season. It gets heavy for my Hawks going into like Decemberish, going into December and a little bit of the beginning of the year. It started getting kind of heavy, but it's towards the beginning and towards the end of the season, it should start lightening up. A lot of the playoff teams that we will play towards the end, a lot of them guys should be resting players by that point. So I think my Hawks got a favorable schedule to start the season. I'm expecting high expectations. This Hawks build upon the success of last year, and then curious to see what's going to happen to our boy Kuminga. What he's going to do? He's been hanging around out there for a while now. So is he going to be a Laker? Is he going to be a Cavalier? Like, what are you going to be at? Meaning to ask you that too, though, Jared. What's your thoughts if you were to get Kuminga?
Again, what does it serve? What type of player is he? Is he a good fit for what you're doing? Yes, he'll be come in with the premise that he is probably the lead to get the power forward or small forward position. And one of the starting positions is what he'll be talked into by Rob Pelinka before he signs it here. That's the first thing. So even though he has not been a consistent starter, I think he'll probably get the nod early on as far as being a starter for this team. But what does he do? Take a look at his. People want to understand who Jonathan Kuminga is. Take a look at that playoff series against the New York Knicks, and I'll just go ahead. You take a look at the stats. You take a look at what he shot for percentage. You take a look at the bucket getter. He did what he does best. He gets buckets. He got about 14 points a game, but he didn't get any rebounds. Didn't get any assists. Didn't get steals. No blocks. Nothing else moved the needle for him. He didn't move the needle in any other way, shape, or form whatsoever. And his defense, there were plays where OG Anunoby used him like, just absolutely destroyed him like he was just was like an orange parking cone. And again, this kid is one of the most athletic kids that's in the NBA. So is it an issue of want? Is it an issue of desire? Is it an issue of appear? I don't know. Again, you would have to tell me. You saw him, I saw him a lot at Golden State, but you saw him even more. And with that said, again, Jonathan Kuminga, it's fine, but the Lakers don't need to score more points. They need players who can play defense, solid perimeter defense, and be able to fill up the scoreboard in other areas. Be able to make sure that they can pass efficiently to teammates, making sure that they can get those rebounds, those steals, those other parts of the game that Jonathan Kuminga has not been used to getting.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, you got to bring up with Kaminga. He got to be able to do other things and just rely on athleticism to put points on the board. You got to be willing to rebound and everything else. But the biggest thing about Kaminga, and I think the day that he finally notices this part, I think that's when he's gonna really flourish for an NBA team. It's that pride of I'm one of the top best players on the team. You gotta let that go at this point in time. And I think that's what affected him in Atlanta and especially Golden State. You want to be the star of your team. You gotta let that go. I think the league is trying to tell you what your role really is, and the day that you finally embrace it, I think that's when a team gonna really pay you the money that you really may not be as much as you want, but they're gonna pay you what your value is worth, and you're gonna probably start sticking with a team long term instead of getting passed around like the girl on the streets. I got my play, now it's your turn, basically. Everybody giving you a chance, but you still ain't realizing it. And I think that's why so many people are skeptical about bringing Kaminga to LA anyway. Is are you willing to realize you ain't the main guy on this team? You ain't the second main guy on this team. You might be the third, you might be that. I don't know. But are you gonna be willing to play your role on this team? Not coming with the mindset of I need my shots and all that. Like you can't come in there with that mindset. It doesn't come down to that point. And you gotta develop that 3-point shot. 3-point shooting has got to get better.
I'm saying, Jays, you don't play him at all. I'm saying, Jays, you don't get him at all. Unless you get him for the minimum. Again, I don't really want Kuminga on this team. I really don't have a desire to get him on the team. But I have a feeling I'm telling you, I'm not saying play Kuminga for, but you tell me, as far as it's concerned, with a guy with his height and the fact that the Lakers don't have starters at either position, where are you going to slot him? I mean, your choices for power forward are very, very small. Sandro Mamukilishvili, again, he's been a backup throughout his entire career, but now you're asking him to do a little more. You're paying him a little bit more, certainly, to do that. Jared Vanderbilt, Jake LaRavia, those are not power forwards. And let's just be honest with that. So with that said, again, Jonathan Kuminga, if you're really high on Quentin Grimes because you paid him $64 million, so you must be high on Quentin Grimes, you got to figure out something with him as far as whether or not you commit to a starting deal with him. Where does that leave a guy like Kuminga? Again, Kuminga is a guy that I think, again, unless you get him on a minimum, I really don't think it's in your best interest to spend a whole lot on him right now because he needs a prove it deal. He needs a prove it deal as far as to prove to the NBA that he is as good as he thinks he is. Like Legend said, absolutely, Legend couldn't have said it better myself. With Kuminga, again, it's very concerning. It's very concerning if you bring a player on like that who, like last year with DeAndre Ayton, he burned his bridges with 2 teams. Same thing here. He burned his bridges already with 2 teams. 2 teams did not want the Jonathan Kuminga experience any longer. They didn't want to deal with the Jonathan Kuminga experience any longer. So ask yourself, are you going to go through a DeAndre Ayton experience again where you spend a little bit more than you really should on a player like that and get the questionable returns like you did with a DeAndre Ayton? No. And if you're so infatuated, if you're Rob Pelinka, you got to understand he's out there as a free agent for a reason. Nobody has wanted him for a reason.
Biggest red flag. The Hawks let you go. That's a big red flag. We didn't let you go.
And he still wants big money. And the thing is, nobody wants to pay him big money. So again, if you bring him on a minimum, it's just like Zaire Williams. It's just like Matisse Thybulle. It's just like Kevon Looney. If they give you anything, that's great because it's a minimum deal. but if you pay him more than that, I don't know. That could be quite a bit of a headache for the Lakers fans coming up, indeed. So, yeah, I mean, I just again, I don't really want him on this team because I just don't know where he fits as outside of a bucket getter. And this team is set up to be better on the offense than better on the defense. Legend.
Yeah, this team is definitely looking like a top offensive team, possibly top 5 or top 3 offensive team. Defense can be a little skeptical. That might be a little skeptical, unless Reeves and Luka and gonna really play some hella good defense. They're gonna take it to another level. Kessler going to work his butt on that defense. Like they're gonna be relying on you heavily to make up some block shots and alter some shots. There's gonna be plenty of nights where Reed's gonna try his very best to get in that chair, and they're gonna, whoop, he gone. Hey, you don't need Kessler to really step up to help on that defensive end. But this is also what you want to see from Austin. Maybe he been working on that defense while he been out there playing golf on the golf course. Maybe he been doing some defensive stands while he out there hitting that golf ball. I don't know, but we gonna see. But it's gonna be a top offense team. That offense should be clicking. It should be.
Once again, it is Legend from I Got Next Sports Media, along with me, Gerald Glassford. I want to thank you so much for watching this thing. We covered the good parts, the concerning parts, the places where LA takes advantage, and look at the NBA schedule as well as far as the entire schedule is concerned. But Legend, what you got cooking on I Got Next Sports Media before we head on out?
I'm planning to do a show tomorrow. I'm going to say Sunday. Sunday is tomorrow. Planning on doing a show tomorrow just to talk about the W having so many controversy. Like, please focus on basketball. W, please. And we're going to definitely talk about a little bit of the schedule for my Hawks and Warriors. I'm going to talk about that some. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about football season. I'm going to talk about my university because we're getting ready for our first football game up in the Sun Belt Conference. So we're getting ready for our season to start. Getting ready to see that team that we all did not expect to make the college football tournament, James Madison, get ready to come to our university because we play in the same conference as them. And then maybe talk a little bit about where they finally do some changes to these bowl games, and or they're gonna still be the same. Pepsi Bowl and all that start popping up.
I'm not in love with PJ. It's too expensive for a role player.
I keep hearing people bring him up a lot.
Yeah, he remember this year is 20, and then it gets into 20s for the next 3 straight years.
Oh no.
Jay. Yeah, I mean, he's a nice, solid player. Nice, solid role player, Jays. I'm not questioning that. But for what you're paying for him, that's the type of contract, if you get into a first tax apron, second tax apron type deal, that's the one that might kill you on taxes as far as concerned. That one will be maybe harder to move at the latter stages of that contract. And yeah, because PJ right now doesn't shoot that well, or didn't shoot that well last season, but really solid player defensively, can get you a few rebounds, does some things. I understand and I get that. And I understand that the Lakers don't have a starting forward and they desperately need one, but that would be a little bit hasty because again, he doesn't move the needle far enough to put you in the mix with OKC and San Antonio. Getting PJ Washington's nice, but nice won't get you any closer to the top in this case, Legend.
Yeah, just being nice ain't what you need. Especially if you're gonna be investing $20 million. I need more than nice.
It gets to like 22, I think 24. I think by the end of that contract.
You're just getting more and more expensive now.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
I can't. People have talked about PJ and argued with me about PJ, and I'm just like, at the end of that that's not going to look good. And again, that's the type of contract that sits there, solid player, but it's just sits there, and he's a guy that probably should be paid $10 million less. It looks so much better if he's, for his production, if he's paid $10 million less. But being paid $10 million more, that's going to add up, and especially if the taxes kick in. Because remember, guys, this year is fine because of the fact that, again, that cap hold of Austin Reeves really bails the Lakers out. But when the cap gymnastics start next year, when all those contracts kick in and when all the things changed in regards to all those deals that Rob signed this year, then we have to start worrying about getting up against the cap, getting up against the second tax apron, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So
I think a lot of people stuck in 2024 too about PJ.
Yeah. Again, I can't do it. I can't do it, Jace. I can't do it. I mean, I'm not looking at. I'm just looking at the player, what he brings, and how much he costs, and what ultimately does it do for your team if it does. Again, he's not going to move the needle far enough. Does he move? When you ask about a certain player, ask yourself, does he move the needle far enough to compete with the OKCs and San Antonio? Because right now, that's what you got to concern yourself with. That's what Rob has to concern himself with, is how does he get to that point where he's in the upper echelon of the Western Conference? Because if he doesn't get there soon, Luka is a free agent. Can be a free agent in 2028. I'll leave it at that. So, again, great to have you here. Truly appreciate it. Again, look at the schedule. If you have any questions or comments on the schedule, please go ahead and put it below. But Legend was great. He wanted to go ahead and discuss the schedule. I thank him for taking the time out of his day for doing so. Any thoughts, my friend, before we head on out?
Last thought is NBA season is almost back, guys, and it's gonna be here before we know it. But what I can say is, since basketball is not here, let's get ready for some football. Let's get ready for some football. I'm ready for this LSU going to Ole Miss. I'm ready to watch this game. I got to see this. How they gonna treat our boy in LSU when he pull up the Ole Miss? I have to see this.
Swung, I don't think it's that bad. I just think, the Toms of the world that are talking about 52, well, more than 52, 55 wins, etc. I think that's when people are starting to think that, this team is maybe looking at through a not as realistic lens as I would look through it. I think, when you're talking about 52, 55, 57 wins for this team, like some people have been banding about because they're absolutely in love with the moves that Rob made in the offseason, then it just, I just don't see it. I just don't see it. But again, it could be a very competitive team, could be a very feisty team, and they could be right where they're at next season, where they were at this season. I could see a team that could win 52 games, be right on a fourth or fifth place team heading into the playoffs. That is very much in play, or maybe even a third, because again, they're not too far behind as far as what they've been predicted. Behind both Denver and Minnesota, and then Houston as well. So a couple games here, a couple games there, and they could be in third place. But again, getting within any type of airspace of OKC and San Antonio, that is a bigger challenge indeed. That's the deal. That's the part I look at and just say, you know what, I can't get there. I cannot get there with the Lakers this upcoming season in its current formation. But, a competitive team, yes, absolutely competitive team. But in that airspace, I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure yet. But we'll wait and see. Again, we'll talk more about it in the weeks leading up to the season. We'll go ahead and have our predictions. I'll bring Legend on. Instead of, when you write it out, let me know, for your season predictions like last time, Legend. But I'm going to actually bring you on to go ahead and elaborate on them. In fact, those panelists that do that, I'm going to bring on in their own separate shows to go ahead and talk about that this time around, do something a little bit different. So, yeah, there you go, indeed. Jays is saying, I'm trading Laravia, Hardy, Connect, and Bronny since Fando isn't wanted. Too many holds. The question is,
who gonna want them?
Yeah, who wants those other guys either?
I mean, they might take a chance on Connect. They might be willing to take a chance on him.
Hardy seems to be tossed around like like a hot potato. He's already been moved twice within 4 months, 5 months. Yeah. So Laravia, his jump shot is on a milk carton right now. So have you seen me? Have you seen my jump shot? Connect, same thing.
Went on vacation and then decided to come back.
Yeah, Connect says, have you seen my defense? Yeah, have not seen that. Bronny actually, again, for a guy that still is not a guy that I would put in a rotation yet. He did shoot better this past season, but his defense went to pot. The thing that he was supposedly noted for was the thing that he ended up doing quite worse. And I'll leave it at that. So with that said, it is of course the Lakers fast break. Plus, he's too small. It's too small.
Yeah, he's very little for that position.
Yeah, I just can't see that happen. But it is of course Legend from I Got Next Sports Media, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. We'll be back here with more good stuff this upcoming week. Talking the Lakers. Hopefully, nobody will sell the Lakers again soon. Yeah, again, Legend's ready. Legend's got the pen ready.
Yeah. Right, the check. I'll take him.
There you go. Will Legend become the new owner of the Los Angeles Lakers? Find out this upcoming week.
Rob, you're fired.
I would fly to Georgia and shake your hand if you did that. Absolutely, indeed. Like right, I would buy a ticket and just fly on a plane and shake your hand if you did that. If you bought the team and fired Rob Pelinka all in the same breath. Yeah, I know, Jays. Again, no, all good, my friend. I just, again, going in all that, I understand it is slim pickings out there as far as how to improve this team. But at some point, you got to realize the team is what, at some point, a GM has to realize this team is what it is, and trying to manufacture something or bring someone in to try and make it better. And if you have to see the results on the other end. If I bring this player in, if I do X, will Y happen? And if it doesn't look like Y won't happen, what is the cost of X and bringing X in? And what is the cost of bringing PJ in if it doesn't get you where you need it to go? And that's the problem indeed. And that's the quandary. I mean, the Lakers, Joe kept saying there was no one else out to get to. That's not true. That's not true. That's the one thing I disagree with Joe on. Well, many things I disagree with Joe on, but he said there was no one else that the Lakers could have gotten out there. And I
think they could have got somebody.
Yeah. I don't think that's the case. There's 450 players in a regular season, NBA season. There were some other players out there, but leave it, be that as it may. It is, of course, Legend from I Got Next Sports Media, along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks again for watching, listening. We'll be back next week. I may bring on Legend back if he's got time. John Costa, he wants to come back on. I know got to talk to Matt John on NBA observations, and I'll have more coming up for you this upcoming week right here on the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.